Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to the Duchenne Method Live Q&A, or as I like to call it, our sacred circle of connection. And this is where I attempt to demystify the mind-body connection for you to achieve optimal health, and so that you might use these tools in your own life. The Duchenne method is very simple. My proprietary system that I'm inviting you into is to really explore how to better acknowledge, engage, and support yourself first and foremost, and then to do the same thing around you with your family, with your community, in order to, again, attain mind-body alignment. So I'm so excited that you're here this morning. Welcome, welcome. You can, leave a little hello in the comments if you're here. I always love to know who's here, because when I do know that you're here and you start to leave some comments, there's a possibility for us to interact. And that's my entire reason for doing this. Hey, good morning. I have a good morning from someone. However, I am not seeing your names. I don't know why. If you signed in through live stream, I should be able to see your names. But good morning to you both, thrice, 4, 5. Good morning. Just let me know who you are, so I might call you by name. You're going to see me in a new environment again this morning. I am at Heroic Public Speaking headquarters, and I'm here as a teaching fellow. Good morning, Stephanie. Oh, no worries. Well, you should be able to sign in on StreamYard right from the Duchenne Method Facebook page, Stephanie. There should be a button there that you click on StreamYard so that you can sign in. But regardless, thank you so much for being here. Elise is here. Jenny is here. Caitlin, my beautiful Jenny, is here. Michelle is here. Thank you so much for being here this morning. I appreciate you so much. And so the idea for us to be here together is to have this type of interaction. So whenever I say something, you might have a question, or you might have a comment, or you might want to support the conversation. I want to invite you to do so. I want you to feel comfortable interjecting, so to speak, and just write down your comment about what I'm saying. You might have some insight that is really important to the group. And I really want you to feel welcomed in this sacred circle of creation. What is happening now is that more and more people are slowly joining us every Monday morning. And I get a lot of comments sent to me after the live for questions, or people want to share something more personal, and that's completely fine and welcomed. And thank you for sending your comments. And at the same time, if you feel that there's something that you could share live when we're here together that could benefit and support the group, I really invite you to do so. In a mindful manner, of course. As you all know, you are all mindful communicators, and we support one another in this way to mindfully communicate with one another. And so I was just sharing that I'm here at HPS again. I've been coming here every month for the past few months. Heroic Public Speaking headquarters. I come here as a teaching fellow to support my fellow students and fellow speakers, public speakers. These are an amazing group of people who are refining their skills into becoming amazing public speakers. The owners, Michael and Amy Port, are public speakers on steroids, meaning they're so good. They really know their stuff. They teach an amazing 3-day class here, which is out of a few months. It's called their grad system, where people come in for a few months and really work on refining, perfecting their communication through their speeches. And everyone's speech here is really focused on transforming the world for the better. So the reason I'm sharing that with you is because, yes, the reason I'm saying that, excuse me, because I'm looking to see who's showing up on different streams. I'm streaming 2 pages on Facebook, on YouTube. It will be uploaded to LinkedIn and Instagram. I don't want to miss anyone, as you can tell. The reason I'm giving you this intro about where I am and what I'm doing over the next 3 days is because I'm also a public speaker. I love public speaking. I love doing these lives. I love being with people and sharing information. And I love that you're here with me. And I'm hoping that this can inspire you too to start to speak about what's important for you. Whether you are a mom like Jenny, who has 3 outstanding children. Michelle, you also have children. Elise has children. Others might also have children who are on this call live stream right now. Maybe there's something that you also want to say and share and impart. So I'm doing these truly as a desire to connect and also to share information that might be helpful to you in relationship to mind-body alignment. That's what I do. That's what I've been doing my whole life without really knowing it until now that I've coined it. I've really seen that it's mind-body alignment that I'm doing on mind, body, spiritual, and emotional level. And today, with no further ado, I really want to talk about how does the mind-body connection work? And how can we develop our relationship to our mind-body relationship? And that also means to become more astute with our emotions, to be able to connect to our emotions and to feel in real time what is going on in our bodies. Because if we are connected to our bodies, if we can feel emotional coursing through our bodies, and we become better and better and better at this with time. It's a skill that is refinable. We can refine our capacity for sense, for sensation, for sensuality, really to fall in love with the possibility of sensation. And not all of these sensations and emotions are positive. Some of them are dealing with sadness, with grief, with regret, with resentment, with loss, with anger. And what happens when we become more and more in communication with how our mind-body works and connected to our emotions that we are feeling in our bodies? Well, the more sophisticated we become at being our own master or mistress of our life. And I say this because when you can connect to yourself in this way, you're not going off in reactivity mode. You start to really practice this art of mindful awareness when we're really connected to the central tendon of our bodies. And so it's so important to develop this skill over time, because you can see what's going on in the world where people do not communicate, when people do not listen to other people, when people are completely disconnected from their emotions and their bodies. There's a disconnect, and so we cannot move in full force with the entirety of our beings. We're only partly there. And who wants to live a partly there life? So my goal is to really invite you, assist you in fully feeling what you're feeling and making space for that so that you can start to love what you feel, even if the feelings aren't good feelings. You know what starts to happen when you refine that is that the feelings arise, show up, and they have somewhere to go. And I'll explain what I mean by that. You're feeling sensation in your body. Let's say it's depression or anger. And I work with a lot of people who struggle with depression in my bodywork practice, because the work that I do in bodywork is to really assist people in processing emotion through their bodies. And that is a process, as I said. What happens when you start to connect more mindfully to what you're feeling in your body is that the emotion starts to have a place to sit where it is welcomed. It can sit someplace in your body and be acknowledged by you. And when your emotions are acknowledged, and here's the important part, it diminishes the charge of the emotion. And why that's important is because when the charge is diminished, you are no longer in a state of fight, flight, or freeze. Therefore, you don't move into reactivity. You are with the sensation and you know how to manage yourself better instead of going into a full out reactivity signal. If this makes sense for you, please give me a one in the comments if you're following, if you're tracking with me. I'm going to check who else has just shown up on the call. Awesome. Okay, so this is tracking. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so moving into this mind body. Thank you. Hi. Hey, Sabi. Good morning, darling. So happy that you're here. Welcome. Physical health, mental health, emotional health. We use these categories to help us think about self-care and life balance. But we must also keep in mind all these different categories of health, physical, mental, emotional, are actually strongly connected to each other and influence one another. This is so important, which is why I'm continuously inviting you to move in your life. You must move your body. The number one cure that I have found to assist people who are in a state of depression. And I'm telling you, younger people are more and more in a state of depression these days. It's tough. Young people are in a state of depression. Now, if our young people are in a state of depression, something is off. And the first thing that I invite them into is to start to move. So there's the body work that I do with them so that I help them move, feel, breathe into their bodies. But the very, very next thing that I invite them to do as soon as they walk out of my office is to engage in their lives through movement. And that might look like a walk in the park. Yes. Thank you, Elise. Move your body, change your thoughts, change your mind, right? Move your body, change your mind, change your thoughts. So for any one of you who might be going through depression, and listen, depression is not like now, this one moment. Depression is a relationship in your life. For a lot of people, it's a touch and go. It's a back and forth. It shows up. And many times at the most inauspicious times where we don't want to feel depressed, and chemically something occurs in our body where that happens. If you get into the practice of moving when you're feeling better, what starts to happen is that you're shifting your neurological connections to the sensation of depression, which means that you're just laying back. So your whole practice here is to start to move. It is so important, all of us, because there are some days that we're going to have the blues. It might not be a full out established clinical, depressive diagnoses, but we all go through moments of depression. We all go through moments of that's been hard. Oh my God, people, we have all been going through a lot of hardships over the past few years due to the pandemic on many levels. And we are now just starting to process those emotions. So the very first thing we want to get into is movement. One of these connections, when I'm talking about mind, body, spirit, and emotion, right? That's the mind-body connection. And it's the link between our emotional and mental health, such as thoughts, attitudes, and behaviors. Thoughts, attitudes, and behaviors. This is nothing you've never heard before, but I do want you to check in and really look at what types of behaviors are you practicing? What type of behaviors are you putting out there in the world? And I want you to think about that as I go on, because it's really important to our physical health. The type of behaviors that you entertain really delineate your physiological health. It is absolutely connected. So are there any behaviors in your life right now that you could change to improve the quality of your health? Our biology impacts our mood. How our body feels impacts our emotions. Our biology impacts our mood. How our body feels impacts our emotions. With all of these factors combined, they play a major role in influencing our overall health. Makes sense. If you've ever felt your stomach tighten up when you're anxious, you've experienced the mind-body connection. And here's a quote from the staff at the University of Michigan Medicine. Your mind and body are powerful allies. How you think can affect how you feel. I would say that quote, how you think always affects how you feel. And how you feel always affects your thinking. An example of this mind-body connection is how your body responds to stress. Constant worry and stress over jobs, finances, and other problems can cause your muscles to get tense. Actually, they do absolutely cause your muscles to get tense. You get pain in your body. You might even develop headaches. And most definitely, this is something common in my practice all the time, are stomach and digestive problems. Stress also leads to high blood pressure and other serious problems. So it's really important for us to understand that if there's a piece in your life that is not jiving, there's something that is not circuited properly from the mind and the body connection, from your emotional relationship, and of course to your spiritual connection. And spiritual might mean your connection to nature, to divine source. Okay. Is everybody tracking me so far? Any insights for me so far? Anything you'd like to share about what I'm sharing? I love the part about validating your feelings, so it takes away some of the reactivity. If I said that right, you did. Thank you. That has made me such a better mother to say during moments of dysregulation, something like, I see that you're upset right now. Is there something I can do to help you? Rather than brushing or blowing off their behavior, forgetting that behavior is communication. You've moved on, but I was struck by that. Yeah, thank you, Jenny. That's awesome. Yeah, super, super important. And Jenny, I particularly appreciate it because you have 3 beautiful children that I know you're completely committed to, that you and your partner, Katie, are completely committed to. And I just want to underline that has made me such a better mother to say during moments of dysregulation, something like, I see that you're upset right now. So what is she doing? She's acknowledging her child. I see that you're upset right now. The Duchenne method, acknowledge, engage, support. So the first thing Jenny does with her child is she acknowledges the child. I see that you're upset right now. Engage. Is there something I can do to help you? She's already moving into the engagement part, right? She's asking a question. And she further says, rather than brushing or blowing off their behavior, this is a big piece. You're forgetting that behavior is communication. Thank you, Jenny. Behavior is communication. What are you communicating through your behavior in your life? Think about that for a moment. What are you communicating through your behavior in your life? Elise writes, it's a constant feedback loop. Body signals mind, and mind signals body. It is a constant feedback loop. And based on what you just wrote, Elise, I think it might be a good time, or maybe my follow-up next Monday might be to go into the importance and the duty of the vagus nerve in relationship to mind-body alignment. So thank you so much for writing that, Jenny and Elise, because you're making me think already about what I might want to shift so that next Monday is a follow-through from this week. Beautiful comments. Emotions are physical. Just like Jenny just shared, if your child is acting out, if their behavior is physically difficult, well, there's an emotion that's related to that. So emotions are physical. They're certainly manifested physically. Emotions may seem like they're nebulous and non-material, but emotions are actually very physical. A study attempted to illustrate this by creating a map of emotions as physical sensations to depict where we experience different emotions in the body. And I'm going to show you a picture right now, which I find fascinating. So I'm going to, let's see, here is my picture. Please let me know that you are seeing it. I want to share this picture with you so you can start to see where in the body emotions are living. So this is a study that was done a few years ago about where we might hold these emotions. And I'm just going to let you sit with this for a second. Take a look at this picture. These photos represent the body maps for a variety of emotions. Yellow indicates the highest level of activity or sensation. Red indicates the second highest level of activity. Black is neutral, and blue and light blue indicates low and very low levels of activity. So I'm going to put this in the chat for you, so that in the comments rather. Let me go here. Yes, you're seeing it. Awesome. This is great. I see the picture. I love it. Great. Happiness and love is all lit up. Yes. So let me put this in here. Just want to make sure that you can follow with me. Oh. Let's see. Can you see my comment here from, for some reason, let me know if you see my comment about yellow indicates the highest level of activity or sensation. Red indicates the second highest level of activity. Black is neutral, and blue and light blue indicates low and very low levels of activity. Oh, you can't see it. I wonder why. For some reason, it's not showing up there, but I'll keep talking about it so that you can connect to it. So happiness, where does happiness live in this model, right? Happiness is in the face, in the cranium, in the heart area. But notice how happiness also moves down the arms into the hands. Isn't that amazing? Now, the first one, anger. Isn't it funny how anger is very, very brightly lit from the waist up, the entire upper body? And this is really interesting because when I do the Hello Work series, the Hello Work series are a series of 11 sessions. And at session number 3, the theme for session number 3 is related to reaching out. And we explore the sensation of anger in the body. And anger really comes through the arms. And it's been, so if you move around, does it make you happy? Or if you're happy, you move a lot, or both? That's a great question. Well, these are photos that are taken when the emotion, like where the emotion shows up in your body. So physiologically, yes, when you tend to move more, well, what arises there is that you are building more adrenaline and dopamine, right? So these are the chemicals in your body that are heightened. So if you are, you get the high from running. I know for sure, Jenny, that when I work out, and I know you know this too, because you are also a martial artist, when I work out, I tend to feel happier. It is very, very rare after a strenuous workout that I don't feel better. Next question, does the picture of anger also mean that the grounding is less present in the feet? Yeah, what a great observation, Sadi. I mean, we're not seeing, there's a little bit of red in the feet, but there almost seems like in the picture of anger that the body is literally split in half, is disconnected. Look at anger and then look at fear. Isn't that interesting? And don't forget, I'm going to repeat this. Yellow indicates the highest level of activity or sensation. Red indicates the second highest level of activity. So look at fear and disgust. A lot more red than yellow, isn't it? So the feelings that you have that arise through your body awaken different hormones, awaken different chemical reactions, and also how your chemicals interreact within your physiology. Yes, whenever Jenny says, yes, whenever I feel like I'm exhausted and couldn't possibly work out, if I make myself go to class, I always feel energized. Exactly. Because as soon as you start to move, the chemicals in your body are the ones that make you feel good. Adrenaline, dopamine, they start to rise inside of your entire body, which is why I mentioned before that the number one cure for depression is movement. So let's take a look at some of these other ones. Look how interesting neutral is. Look at neutral. We talked about neutrality a few weeks ago in one of these lives that I did with you. Look at neutrality. Black is neutral. And blue and light blue indicate low and very low levels of activity. So I want to be clear here. Neutral, it's black and a little bit of blue, right? Because there's very little activity. And the invitation that I have for you today as we explore this mind-body connection and how it works is that neutral is actually your best friend. Coming into neutrality brings you to this state of homeostasis where you are not exhibiting any type of emotional reactivity. Neutral is usually what happens when we move into a state of meditation, a meditative state. You will also find neutral when you are relaxed and reading a book, for example. You will also find neutral if you are laying out on the beach in the sun and you're just relaxing. You will also find neutral when you're in between sleep and awakening. There's kind of that sweet spot where you're just floating. You can also find a state of neutrality when you are in nature. Isn't that interesting? So that your entire nervous system calms down, brings you down, where you can find the space to neutrality, which, in my opinion, is a very healthy place to be. Look at contempt. How interesting is where contempt shows up? Literally in the sternum, in the trachea, in the esophagus, right? So if someone is full of contempt, it looks like it would be pretty hard to talk, right? You're just raging. And look, in contempt, also the hands are red. Isn't that amazing? And similarly, if you look at how love is manifested in the body, it's throughout the entire body almost, right? Not in the extremities of the legs, but certainly at the top, at the tips of the feet. But look how bright that yellow is in the chest area. And look how bright that yellow is in the chest area, but also in the pelvic floor area. Yes, Elise, contempt looks like phase 1 of disgust. It does. Thank you. I'm just seeing that now. Thank you for pointing that out. You can take a screenshot of this if you want. It's a really helpful little piece. I'm actually going to put it in the show notes, so I'll upload it to our I'll upload it to Facebook and to all the other medias after I hang up with you. So I want you to take a look at those anxiety. Look at shame. Isn't shame interesting? Yeah, Jenny. Anger. The hands are bright, almost white. Yeah, so we can really see here how the body is activated, innervated. So that emotions, you can literally see here how emotions are physical. And many of these emotions have high levels of physical sensations in the upper chest area, right? Such as changes in breathing and your heart rate. So high levels of physical sensation is almost common in the head area, which can include things like facial expression and changes in your thoughts. This type of visual representation of our emotions and how they impact our physical state can really help us remember the importance of the mind-body connections. I hope this is helpful to you. Let me know if this little diagram was helpful to you. I'm trying to integrate more diagrams in my talks. I'm going to take it away unless you need it to be here for longer. But if you do need it to be there for longer, just let me know and I can bring it back. Beautiful. Okay, now emotions and the immune system. I just want to talk about that a little bit in relationship to mind-body connections, because emotions have a lot to do with the health of your immune system. Studies have also shown that people who experience negative moods on a daily basis, this is so important. Studies have shown, and you've heard this before, studies have shown that people who experience negative moods on a daily basis for prolonged periods of time tend to have increased inflammation. Increased inflammation. So this is so important. You know people in your life who are very moody or who tend to be in a bad mood, who tend to look at the glass half empty. And what happens to them? They usually have a correlating physiological issue, such as they're tired. I have someone, it's interesting, I have someone where I go to the gym, I take classes, and every time I ask him how he's doing, he always tells me, oh, I'm tired, and this guy's in class all the time. But his whole demeanor is about being tired, right? So he kind of has an attachment to that identity of being tired. Because if he only shifted his mind and realized that actually he's really not that tired, right? Because I see him in class, I see how much he moves. And so that only increases the energy of level. So there's an identification sometimes with how we're feeling, with how we think we should feel in order to fit the identity that we're living into. Does that make sense? Give me a 1 and any comments if that makes sense to you. So again, studies show that people who experience negative moods on a daily basis for prolonged periods of time have increased inflammation. Well, yeah, of course, because if you're in a bad mood, for the most part, you're not really moving a whole lot. And if you're not moving, here's the other advantage with movement, is that you are flushing toxins out of your body. So every time you go for a walk, if you go for a swim, you're actually moving toxins out of the body. That is the body's natural way to dispose of toxins, of toxic material in your body. Good. I'm glad this is helpful. Other studies have shown that exposure to chronic stress can affect our immune system's ability to fight illness and disease. So important. Chronic stress. What causes chronic stress? So yes, there are physiological reasons for it. There are chemical reasons for it, but there are also very real environmental reasons for chronic stress, which looks a lot like hanging around people who say they're tired all the time. It's hanging around people who tend to be in a bad mood, hanging around people who tend to view the glass half empty. I am telling you, the secret sauce to living an optimal lifestyle is to really look at these components. Because if you're finding yourself in circles of people who are complaining all the time, who don't have the vision to go beyond, you are choosing to be in those circles, my friends. We have a choice. So if you're feeling like, something's wrong with your gut, or you're feeling bloated on any given day, or, inflammation in the body shows up as so many things. It could be a headache, it could be a toothache, it could be you're feeling off in your tummy, it could be a backache. Inflammation shows in all shapes and sizes. So I really want you to pay attention to this and to really see how are you using your mind-body connection? How are you exercising your mind-body connection in order to improve the quality of your life? What type of people are you hanging around? And yes, it takes a little bit of work to establish healthy, good, strong relationships. We have to go out of our comfort zones a lot of the time. It takes a little time to find people like us, right? This is why you're here, because we can really connect on this level. We can have these types of conversations. We are open to mindfulness and to learning and sharing with one another. Yes, Elise can so relate to that. Awesome. So helpful. Wonderful. I'm glad. Sabi, why can we get attached to an identity, a way of communication? Example, the person who always replies he's tired, even if he has more energy. Oh, well, that's a great question. So why might he get attached to that identity? Well, there are a lot of reasons for that. But one of the reasons why we get attached to that identity is because it's one that we have either been told we are. So it could be something that we have been told we are. But what I see in adults more than not in my work is that when I attach my identity with being tired or complaining, I become a victim. And in my victim mode, I can get more attention. You see how that works? Let me know if that makes sense to you, Sabi. So when you get attached to a way of communicating in this, if somebody comes to me constantly and says, Anne-Marie, how are you doing? And if I'm saying, oh, I'm tired. I had to go to bed, early last night. I had to get up early this morning because I had to be here. And, I'm happy to be here. And I'm so tired, and so you can see that my energy is moving more to that direction instead of, boom, I identify as someone who is acknowledging you, engaged with my life, and supportive as much as I can with myself and everyone around me. That's my choice. That's what I mean about your identity is a choice. Your identity is not stuck to you like glue. Think about that for a moment. It's a skin, it's a layer. Your identity is only your identity as long as you hold on to it. Isn't it interesting? It makes sense. Awesome. Thank you, Sebi. And I'm going to throw it one piece further. Have you ever lost your wallet? You lose your wallet, you lose your identity, isn't it? Because all your ID cards are in your wallet. Everything that identifies you as a legitimate human being, living, human, breathing being is in your wallet. In our culture, that's how we identify. I identify as a 5'9" brunette French Quebecoise, right? That's my identity. And so it's not wrong. I'm just saying that in the relationship of mind-body relationship, if you identify as the labels that are put upon you, you become those labels. So maybe this guy at the gym is labeled a lazy person. I don't know his story, but it's possible that he was labeled as a lazy person, or he doesn't, have a lot of energy. Maybe someone said that to him when he was a child and he identifies as such. So just know that your masks, the masks that we wear every day, are removable, my friends. You can create a new identity on a daily basis. So if you have a choice of creating a new identity, why not move into the direction of what makes you feel good, comfortable, connected? Do you see how that plays into how your behavior is going to manifest itself in your life? Elise says, seeking sympathy might be related to a neglected inner child. Yes, absolutely, Elise. Thank you. Or losing your phone. Yeah, losing your wallet, losing your phone. But this is really important what you said, Elise. Seeking sympathy, but sympathy is different than the victim suit. Okay, so that's another important component. There's sympathy, there's empathy, and then there's the victim suit, right? But yes, seeking sympathy might be related to a neglected inner child. Yes, more on that on another talk, but I appreciate the comment. Absolutely. Well, there's a lack, is what you're saying. Something in us we need to fill a void somehow. So if I'm always tired, or another good one, check yourself on this one. If you're always late, if you're someone who tends to be late, that is definitely a sign that one might need attention, because we're waiting on you. We're waiting for you. There's a correlation to what you're sharing there, Elise, as well. Yeah, that would be our phones now, right? So your wallet or your phone, exactly. You can tell where I get my references from, right? I'm still in the wallet days, but yes, your phones. So our identity is interchangeable, and I want to really leave you with these thoughts today, to look at your identity, because whatever mask you're wearing today, however you present yourself in the world today, you're seeing through a very specific filter. And that filter through which you are viewing has an effect on your immune system. It has an effect on your emotions. So I want you to really notice the filter through which you are looking. And might there be a more colorful filter, a lighter filter, a filter that gives you a different perspective? The statement I usually get is I'm always so busy, filling time in excess. Thank you. Who said that? Michelle, that you're always so busy, you're filling time in excess. I love that. I am also guilty of being a very busy bee. So, Michelle, you are also a very intuitive and practitioner that deals with the emotion of grief. How would you self coach yourself? I feel that allowing oneself to explore more identities within ourselves is like allowing oneself to explore freedom and new inner lands. Yes, Sabi, exactly. Yeah, another one. I'm so busy, which is why I didn't, couldn't, etc. Yeah, perfect. So we're going back to a little bit of last week's talk when I was talking about priorities. I think it was last week's prioritization of your time. How do you manage time? That has a lot to do with our identity. I'm so busy, right? So being very busy, I would suggest, gives us a sense of being significant. If I'm very busy and I don't have time, I make myself very significant in this position. Let me know if that makes sense to you. I am not that person, but that is what I hear from a lot of people. I am in recovery. That's what I'm reading. I'm not that person, but is what I hear from a lot of people. Yes. Okay, got that, Michelle. Thank you. You are in recovery. Are you in recovery of being a busy person? I love that. I am too, if that's you. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's super interesting. Thank you so much. These are such great comments. So there's a lot to this mind body connection. There is a lot to this mind body connection. So I want to leave you with this today. I'm shortening my talks a little bit because it's actually helpful for the algorithm in this format.